excited to tell you guys today that we are finally going to install the catch can. Now, as you already saw, I ordered it Monday, and as expected, it came in on Thursday. So, and obviously I couldn't wait to unbox it, so everything is pretty much scattered into the wind here. Now, I will tell you right away, everything that you're going to get in the box if you decide you want to purchase this kit. Obviously, you're going to get the catch can. You're going to get the mounting bracket. You're going to get the barbed fittings. Now, if you choose to go with the AN style fittings, obviously that'll be much different. And the same goes for the line that you're going to be using as well. I opted for the much cheaper version. Eventually I'd like to upgrade to stainless steel lines, but for right now, the basically like rubber fuel line will work for right now. It'll do just fine for what I need it to. And the other thing that you're also going to include in the kit for you are spring clips, a lock washer, and an extra O-ring. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, the extra O-ring, it's for this little O-ring that's right here. And you know, you gotta love Elite Engineering for sending you an extra one, but if you do plan on keeping your vehicle long-term, like more than 10 years or so, and you don't plan on selling it, probably wouldn't be a bad investment to go out to your local hardware store and maybe pick up a couple more just in case. That way you're not left out in the dark and you're not playing this game of, oh hell, what do I need, because I don't know what's going on. So with that said, you know, probably wouldn't be a bad idea. I will probably end up buying an extra one later on when I can. Now, one thing that I will tell you right away, should be pretty obvious, but there we go. Your fittings will not come wrapped in Teflon tape, so if you don't have any Teflon tape, they're less than $1 at Walmart or at a local hardware store. Now, for the tools that you're going to be using for this, it's very simple. All you're going to need is a flathead screwdriver, which right now I need to change the Phillips head out. I'm using an adjustable wrench, but anything that will be able to get these on to your catch can, whatever you got to use. Just for right now, I'm using an adjustable because that's what I have on hand right now. And you're also going to need a 15mm deep socket, because for this install, I'm putting it back by the brake booster. So to get that particular nut off, I'm going to use a deep well 15mm socket. And you're also going to need an 1/8" Allen wrench to get your screws on for your mounting brackets. So that's pretty much everything that comes in the kit. So if you opted for the AN fittings, obviously you're going to get the nicer fittings. They come in black. Unfortunately, they don't come in stainless. If they came in stainless, I would have probably opted to buy them, but I chose not to. Later on, we'll probably look into the fittings and stainless lines and do a lot of that other stuff with the truck later. But for now, this just gets it on the truck. This gets the system on, and it will serve its purpose, keeping the truck from, you know, destroying itself any further. So I'm going to go on ahead and install the fittings for you guys, as well as the bracket. And just to make note, this bracket can fit on in either direction, as well as being flopped over. So you have a little bit of versatility with this system. If you don't like the first two choices, which Elite Engineering has basically told you there are two options you can go with. You can either put it by the brake booster like I'm doing for the time being. You can put it by the windshield washer fluid, which is basically right over the second battery tray. But I actually seen one that I really like and that I will eventually switch to once I have some time to go get the hardware to do all this. But I actually seen a guy that put it just over top the radiator core. That way, basically, it's hovering in a good spot where you can get to it, and it's not over your second battery tray, and it's really cool. So all I really need to do is a couple of extra steps, and I will show you guys that later on when I get the time and the hardware to do it. We'll move the entire system over, and that way everything will be taken care of, and it'll be in a much better spot, because I do plan on possibly putting a second battery in this truck. Not sure when. It's just nice to plan ahead anyway. So without much further ado, let's go on ahead and get this system ready. Alright guys, so we got the fittings on as well as the mounting bracket now. Real quick, I didn't mention the fact that I ended up getting a blue catch can, and one thing that I will let you know is that Elite Engineering offers these in a variety of colors. They offer it in silver, black, red, and blue. Now the reason I chose blue, oddly enough, is because with these Silverados, the interior color, a lot of the gauges and some of the interior lighting is blue, and I thought I would kind of stick with the blue theme. That way, you know, it made much more sense when you kind of look. It's little subtle things like that I really like to pick up on. So I decided I was going to go with a blue catch can to kind of match the interior. May later on do some LED lighting underneath the truck where it's also blue. Don't know yet, but we're just messing around. I thought it would look nice to kind of match things with the truck. So anyways, all that said, the fittings are now installed. We will tighten them down further once we get out to the truck, and we'll go on ahead and let's just get to it. We're going to go out to the truck and get everything mounted. Alright, so now we're out here at the truck, as you can see, and I got the catch can. Now I went on ahead and clocked this last one in place. This one's right where I want it to be, so just for reference, the two different mounting locations that they listed are right here at this particular nut right there, or the other location as shown will be like right down in here, if that makes any sense. Now the location that I want to put it eventually is right here, and as you can see, there's actually a hole right there that's actually in a perfect spot for that. So eventually I'd like to move it there, and the only way to do that is to remove this piece off, and you'll have to take these little plastic grommets that hold this front fascia in, and then you have easy access to that front side. So whenever we get to it, we'll go on ahead and do it. I'll do an install video, or at least a reinstallation, removement of everything, and then depending on if a little money comes along the way, we might upgrade to some different fittings. So with that said, let's just go on ahead and get the install rolling. So where we're going to start first is unbolting this screw right here. So we're going to break it loose. We're going to get this thing off, and then we will go on ahead and put the catch can in place. Now, per the instructions, they say to install this lock washer first, and then you will install the catch can. So we're going to go on ahead and install our lock washer. And then we are going to slip our catch can into place and reinstall the nut. Can see the catch can is now finally installed, and it looks really neat in this truck. So I'm actually really excited to finally get the lines, which, by the way, we're going to go on ahead and get these installed. Which, there's one other thing I forgot to mention. If you have a set of pliers, that's another thing you will need for this installation, to be able to get these on and slip them on onto the barbs, as well as the other locations that you're going to be putting these on. So don't forget a set of pliers or a set of spring clamp pliers, something to get these on. Like that, I now have a set of pliers and I have a set of grips. So we're going to go on ahead and slip these on. I will get these on real quick, so that way you don't necessarily have to watch this part. One on, now we're going to get one on the other, and we will be good to go. Now, a lot of you guys are probably going to start asking yourself, Shane, why haven't you cut the tubing yet? Well, we're not exactly sure how much tubing we're going to use, and on top of that, remember, we may end up relocating the system eventually, and I don't know if I'm necessarily going to use the same hoses or not yet. but it's just good to go on ahead and get these on, get them in location, and that way they're on. You don't have to worry about them. All is good with the world. And yeah, so let me get the second one on and I'll start throwing shit everywhere. So now that I've got the spring clamps in place, I'm just going to go on ahead and get these onto the catch can and we'll have a good time. So as you guys could probably tell, I went on ahead and reclocked this just a little bit just so I could get the fitting on and get to the hose clamp. And as you can see, I can get to the catch can just fine. You know, no issues being able to get it off or anything like that. So now that we've got that, we can start moving on ahead to the next part, which is to get this out of the way so we can access the PCV system underneath. Now to take this air cleaner off, what you're going to need to do is take that screw off, which you can either use a particular small set of wrenches or like a deep well sockets to get that off. Same goes for this part right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our screwdriver, we're going to take this off, also removing or at least loosening that so that way we can get this entire air box assembly off and access the port. Detach these little breathers right here just so we can get access to the intake. So all you have to do is for this one just push it underneath and it should pop right off. Yeah, I say that now. See, pop right off. Do the same thing for the other side. And that way that's all removed, and then this should just slide right off. Now as you're going to see, you see a little bit of oil developing, a little carbon buildup as well. So, oh yeah, definitely some carbon buildup in there. So it's a really good idea that we're going on ahead to do this today. That way it's already taken care of. And eventually what we'll end up doing is I would like to change out this throttle body eventually, and we might as well get to a point where we will change out the intake as well. But right now, since it's daily driver, not going to really worry too much about any of that stuff. But anyways, we'll just go on ahead and get all this installed. The PCV system starts right here underneath the throttle body, and all you're going to do is, if you can get underneath there and push that little tab. It's a pain in the ass to do it, I promise you it is. Especially for me because I have big hands. All you're going to do is push it and it should pop right off. And so now that we've gotten it slipped off, if you want to, you can use a set of pliers. The pliers will work, and that way now this entire assembly can now move freely. And I know you can't tell this, but we'll switch to the GoPro just so you guys can see. For the 5.3 Silverado, the intake part of this, or the exhausting from the PCV, goes right here on the side of the intake, and what you can tell is now this entire system can actually rotate, and so now you can easily access all of that, which is great now, so then I don't have to suffer trying to get a hold of that thing back there. So give me a minute and we'll take this off, and then we'll get the rest of the system plumbed. Now that we've got it off, we can now go on ahead and start installing the rest of this system. I will go get us a set of clippers. We'll clip these, we'll put them on, we'll be good to go. So what I'm going to end up doing is just trying to find the midpoint, and then we'll go on ahead and slice it, which I'm going to do it in a much more safe spot rather than up here where you guys can see it. I didn't think bees were supposed to be around yet. So anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on ahead and cut this fuel line since I found the midpoint of it. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go on ahead and slice this line as I've already started, And I'm going to do it down here as a much more safer spot, but just so you know, that's what I'm going to do. That way that's your midpoint for the hose, and then you can decide from there whether to leave some excess or whether some needed more. You can also chase down the lines and kind of run everything where you think it's going to be at, and then decide from there what you're going to do. So let's get to it. As you can see, we've got our lines hooked up, and this right here will be your intake side, so that will go down here underneath where the PCV system begins, and then this is your exhausting port. This will go back into where the it goes back into the intake, and then we will be good to go. And we'll also try and cut everything to length. So what I'm going to do is try and run everything in a more convenient setup, which, like I said, I do plan on trying to eventually make this to where we'll put it over here. Again, we may end up upgrading the lines eventually, so don't know yet, but just keep that in mind. I said I'm going to leave a little bit of excess. You can give or take however much you want, depending on where you decide to locate this. Now we've got our hose cut to length, I'm going to go on ahead and slip on this hose clamp, which is going to be a pain in the butt, I can already tell you. I've got it installed, I'm going to go on ahead and feed it underneath all this wiring, and then I'm going to bring it right around here, so that way everything's kind of nice and tidy and it doesn't look like it's a mess. So I know you guys can't really see it too well, but we're going to go on ahead and slip this over the PCV system. And I want you to keep in mind that the nipples in question are just basically a composite, or they're plastic. So whenever you're dealing with those particular fittings, make sure you're careful, that way you don't break the tip off, because otherwise you can be in some serious trouble. Alright, now that we've got the second one in place, it's time to get the intake side installed, which should be fairly easy. And we're also going to do the same thing with it. We will fish it down through to the intake, and I may end up cutting a little bit of excess off just to kind of clear things up here a little bit. Alright, so now we've cut our excess hose, and we have all our extra hosing right here. I will go on ahead and install the final clip on the system, and we should be able to button this thing up and be able to enjoy our driving from now on. Alright, now that we've got the clamp installed, I'm going to feed it back through and slip it on to the intake. This ought to be a freaking blast. Alright, so now that we've got it slipped on now, basically everything's in place. So just reverse the process of taking the intake off, just reinstall it, and everything should be good to go, and you can start using your catch can. So now that we've got the air box back in, we're going to go on ahead and reconnect these fittings, make sure they're nice and secure, and double check all your connection points on your system, make sure all your clamps are in place where they need to be, and that finishes up the installation. Now I do realize I did this a bit of the hard way. I probably could have, you know, put a little bit of oil or soapy solution around the band clamps or the hose clamps to kind of get them on better. Same goes for the intake and stuff like that, but you want to be really careful with that because you don't want a lot of that stuff getting into the system and ruining things. So with that said, that pretty much wraps up the installation. It's fairly easy to do. A lot of simple tools needed just throughout the entire installation. Of course, like I said, you don't have to go with this rubber line system. You can always upgrade to the braided line, or you can get stainless steel braided line and have AN fittings, which would probably be a lot better in this case. But this just kind of goes to show that this system is very easy to install in these trucks. So for a very cheap price, you can be into a system like this for not much, and it's going to do a world of difference for your truck and make sure that the longevity of it is stays intact. So with that, that wraps up this installation. Now that we've got the system installed, you can kind of see how nice it looks in here, and it looks just kind of like just a little aftermarket kind of thing. And the hoses kind of tuck away nice and neat. It looks like it's almost a factory installation. So with that said, that wraps up the installation, as I already said. And next thing to do is just enjoy your stuff. Now, it'd be a pretty good idea that once you start driving this, that you check it periodically just to make sure that everything's connection-wise is sealed up and that you don't have any issues. And then for me, I'm probably going to be doing the same. And then also going to be checking at 3,000 miles to see how much oil we've collected. That way I have a pretty good idea of what I'm going to be dealing with this truck. Now, I know this is going to look really strange when you see this cut in, so I apologize. I didn't like the outro I made the first time around, so I decided I just wanted to cut in a new one. For those of you that are interested in this catch can system, I will leave a link in the description of the place that you can check it out. Of course, if you don't like that system, you're more than welcome to search Google and figure out what system works best for you. So with that said, hopefully you enjoyed this very first installation and this very first mod on this truck. I am extremely happy that I got this on here now. And hopefully you guys will stick around for more installation, how-to videos, things like that. I said I promise there will be more in the future, as well as ownership videos, and then we'll also do a 3,000 mile checkup on the catch can just to see how much oil we've collected over the time. So when I do have that video ready, I will leave a link either in the bottom of the description or post an annotation up top, so that way you guys know where to find it, and that way you guys can get access easily. But with that said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. Also, if this is your first time stopping into the channel and you like the how-tos and ownership and various other things like that, make sure to subscribe. And also, don't forget about the little notification bell next to the subscribe button, so that way you guys are always notified of when I post new videos, because nobody likes being left out in the dark. I don't even like being left out in the dark. But with all that said, guys, hopefully you have a fantastic day. Take care. Have a great day. And it wouldn't make a good installation video without shit flying around. Finally got the little bastard from out underneath the truck. One thing I'm going to tell you that's really nice about these trucks is the fact that they have a plastic pan, so you can always hear where these little things are rattling around at. So, needless to say, we got everything on.